Hi, Janice.
Hello, Anthony.
This is going to be kind of a gross one. we're gonna
Yeah.
we're gonna talk about how the measles outbreak may affect home buying. So, for anyone who doesn't know, kind of can't believe if it's something nobody would know about this, but there's a measles outbreak sweeping the country, and in the New York City area alone, as of the date of this recording, there have been 390 cases in just Queens and Brooklyn, and Rockland County also has also declared an emergency, a state of medical emergency. So, kind of twisting this to topics that we cover, how will this airborne contagious outbreak affect home buying, right? Oh boy, bringing it back to home buying, but yeah. All right.
But this is going to be interesting because it really is affecting a lot of different parts of our society, and home buying is one of them.
Yeah, I mean, I think Rockland's state of emergency has an ordinance or rule, I'm not sure, where if you are not immunized, you cannot be in a public area like a mall or
Correct.
shopping. But at the same time, I mean, just this is me being a lawyer. There's no enforcement, meaning nobody's going around checking for your vaccination card. So,
Right. You don't carry anything with you that says, hey,
yeah.
guess what?
So it's a lot of just posturing or hoping that people will listen, but I don't know. Anyway, all right. So what's a big mechanism for buying and selling homes? Open houses. Open houses during a measles outbreak
Yeah.
seems like maybe not the best idea.
And I would not have thought of that until you said something, and it actually sounds pretty terrifying if you think about how many people come through an open house.
Yeah. So a successful open house in Manhattan will have 100 visitors, and that's per weekend. If you're open housing several weekends in a row,
Wow.
that's a lot of foot traffic through your house if you are the seller, or a lot of people if you're the buyer and you're doing what, 3 to 5 open houses per weekend. That's 500 people who you didn't have to rub elbows with, but that you rubbed elbows with.
Wow. In the midst of an outbreak when people are supposed to be staying home and quarantined. Ooh.
And if you're thinking, oh, wait, if anyone's not immunized or has measles, they wouldn't come out. Are you kidding me? People do stuff like this all the time.
There is a reason there's an epidemic right now,
Exactly.
and it's not because they're following the rules.
Exactly. Like the dude who flew from Brooklyn to I think it was Kansas, and he is patient zero for spreading it into the Midwest. I'm like, come on, dude. Just why did you fly? What was and the
Right.
people in the airplane? I feel bad for them too.
Exactly, exactly. It's that whole common sense factor, but that's a
Yeah.
whole another podcast that we
Yeah.
can't even start to begin to. Yeah,
So how will this affect home buying? I don't know, but if it continues to become a concern and on the national consciousness or the local consciousness, we may see fewer open houses and more private showings only. That's not a guarantee either. Maybe the one person you private show to is the one with the measles or is on,
right. Right. It's
But at
that
least
one
you're,
person who
yeah,
said, "Oh,
you're
good, no one else will be around. I'll come on my own."
and cough on you by myself. By the way, and if anyone doesn't know, measles is transmittable through like your breathing. It's airborne, so it is pretty contagious.
Very, very contagious and very. I mean, it's deadly.
Yeah. So if this happens, if it becomes, I don't know, even just like 33% fewer open houses and more private showings, that could impact the liquidity of the market and the speed at which you're able to sell or show or get an offer. So we might see, it might not be groundbreaking, but we might see like a noticeable difference in the speed of how transactions go down. Yeah.
Absolutely. Little hesitation on a couple of people means your open house is now half as big, and you
Yep.
might not get that offer that you wanted.
Exactly. All right. Number 2 potential way home buying would be affected by the measles outbreak: neighborhoods. Okay. So we've always talked about looking at schools, looking at crime rates, looking at transportation options, supermarkets. Now you got to add to that list. Is there an outbreak? Is there a health issue in the neighborhood? And also add to the list. All right, even if there is not a current outbreak, and this is getting a little dicey. This is getting a little, this is getting a little risky to talk about. But
We're in that controversial
yeah,
gray
but I mean,
area now.
this is what other people might look at.
Right.
So there are certain, I guess, religious groups that don't believe in immunizing. And if a neighborhood that you're considering has a higher than usual population of that particular religious group, that might translate into a higher risk of an outbreak, and that might impact your decision to go into that neighborhood. Does that make sense without being too offensive?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No. If whether you share the beliefs or you don't share beliefs, it's the reality that sometimes that area could be more or less vaccinated and be a little more risk.
And it's not just religion. I mean, there are communities or there's communities of people who don't believe in immunization for supposedly scientific reasons. I don't have an opinion, you know.
No,
So
but the anti-vaccination group right now is very, very big.
it's big. Okay.
It is very big. Big voices. And right now it's a big thing that they're. But you're right. When you're looking at the neighborhoods and you see that this neighborhood is really big and that culture, I don't know if that's a good word, but
Yes.
the beliefs, the culture, then you might have to think about that, whether you share the belief or you don't.
So is there any way to? I'm asking you kind of on the spot, Janice, but you seem to know a little bit more. Do the anti-vaccination groups seem to coincide with any, besides religion, any political groups or any socioeconomic groups that would impact people saying, "Oh, I don't want to go into that neighborhood because it's probably going to have anti-vaxxers," or is that kind of across the spectrum?
I think it's across. I mean, all of my
Gotcha.
good information that I'm getting is from Facebook, where you see, the friends that are so against the vaccinations, where you're flooded with this information all the time.
Yeah.
But I really think it's across all the groups. It's mostly right now, it seems like a lot of people with very young children. It's that new age, the new young children. But I think it could be, really any.
Interesting. Okay. I was wondering if you knew.
Yeah, no, it seems like, just from, again, my limited Facebook research from friends and family, it just seems like it's across the spectrum, but mostly people with very young children, like under 3.
So now that leads me to my third point, or third thing to think about regarding measles and real estate. We talk a lot about looking at school districts and school zones when you're in the home buying process. Now so typically that means, is it a good school? Do they go to good colleges? Do they keep good grades? Is school violence? Anything like that, right? Is it a good
Right.
school? Now
Very
you're also
important.
looking at vaccination rates, right?
Correct, because you do have some schools that are adamantly, you must be vaccinated,
Yep.
or you have some that you can opt out.
Yep.
And I believe that the statistics are available online
I
of
think
the
so, too.
percentages. But again, that's one more thing you have to think about when you're moving in, is if you already don't have enough when you're buying a house.
Seriously.
It's one more thing.
And you mentioned, so if we should. I'll try to look this up in post. But if it does bear out that the anti-vaxxing movement tends to be with younger kids, then maybe if you're in a school zone that's like K through 5, right, or has predominantly preschools, I don't know. That might be something to look at.
Absolutely. No, and that's that's an opinion, but it looks to me that they're very young children under the age of 3, really, that are starting this movement. It's always been around, but it seems like it's just gotten really, really big.
Now, here's the big question. Are you and your kids vaccinated, or do you prefer not to answer?
So I will answer. All of my children are vaccinated. I get my flu shots, and but one time in my whole life, I didn't get my flu shot, and I got the flu. Worst experience of my life. So we do. But I also can see the other side of it, where I understand that people have opinions that differ.
I believe I'm vaccinated. I'm pretty sure I am.
You sure?
And,
Might
but I
want to
don't.
hold your card since you're now in New York.
I know, but I don't get the flu shot. And the one time I did get it, I got pretty sick. So that's my experience.
So you were the opposite. Yep.
Yeah,
See, everyone's different.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Sorry to talk about such a gross topic, everyone, but hey,
it's real.
thought it would be useful. Yeah. Cool. Thanks, Janice. Thank you, everyone, and we'll talk again next time.
Stay
Take care.
healthy.
All right. Bye now.
Bye.